What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on TGM Guitars. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed, liked and commented on my videos recently. It's good to see some support and kind of motivates me to bring you more videos. And with that said, if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more, then be sure to either comment, rate or even consider subscribing to the channel to show your support. But anyway, let's jump into the topic of this video. So this is a video I've wanted to do for a little while now, and I've kind of put it off and not really committed to it, but I've bought all the parts and I'm finally going to get around to doing it, and that is to modify one of my pedals. Pedal in question is this one, the Marshall BB2. This used to be my #1 drive pedal. I used to use it for all my drive sounds when I first started gigging, as with the Bulgarian 1960 Infinium. And since then it's kind of fallen to the wayside, what with more pedals coming through, such as the Klon, the Tube Screamer and also the Hotcake. I don't really use this much anymore. I did touch on it during the Vox gain shootout video and did really enjoy the sounds I got out of this, but it's kind of sitting there gathering dust, and I thought, why not open this up and change a few components about to get a different sound out of it. So what the plan is to try and make it a little bit more like the original Blues Breaker, because if you're not familiar, this isn't exactly the same. It does sound a bit different. It's also got that switchable boost mode, which personally I don't use, and I know a lot of people don't like it too much. But yeah, I'll get into the nerdy stuff in a bit, but first of all I will jump over and show you some sounds with this pedal. I'm going to chuck it into my V55 HD, so we've got a complete clean amp to run it into, and yeah, show you what this thing can do. So a quick overview of the setup. I've got my 2016 Gibson Les Paul Tribute 50s going into the Marshall BB2, which is then going into the Bulgarian V55 HD to try and get some cleanish tones. I won't say 100% clean, just in case it's not, and I'll get berated on the internet. Then that goes into my Torpedo Captor X, which is running a 1960 vintage style amplifier. Not amplifier, sorry, speaker cabinet, which is similar to the one that I've got for my Marshall. So that's the signal chain. I've tried to set up a pedal cam like I did last time, but unfortunately this 3D printed stand didn't really fit that pedal. So I've set it up the best I can using my trusty pedal ball case as a bit of a stand, and so you guys can see what I'm doing to the pedal. So this is what the bass tone sounds like. I won't call it a clean, just in case. So usually I do it at edge of breakup, but I think that's usually a little bit cleaner than I have it. So that's the neck pickup, lovely and warm. What we'll do first is, everything's at 12 o'clock. We should be on the blues setting. Let's click it on. So a little bit of a drop in volume there, so let's try and adjust that with the volume control. Quite a bit louder now, isn't it? So yeah, it's quite a nice mid-gainy pedal. You can push it a little bit more. What I've realised here is I can't actually see the controls sitting like this. So if we push the drive up a bit, and it's a very interactive pedal with that volume control on the guitar, which is really nice. So try and run through this quickly because I've still got to do the whole modifying of the pedal, and then kind of see what it sounds like afterwards. So we will do a quick tone sweep. Surprisingly usable with the tone all the way up. Usually pedals are not like that, so that's quite nice on this. Very dark. It's almost like I've put it on the neck pickup and rolled the tone. So what I'm going to do now is play a riff or two, got it on a setting that I kind of like, so we're going to then tune it out later on and see if I prefer it, and just kind of just have some fun with it. Now what I'm going to do is put everything at 12 o'clock because then it'll be a bit of a better comparison. So it's an easy one to remember. It's everything at 12, including the volume. I know that'll drop the volume a little bit, but that way we can do a almost A/B comparison. So yeah, let's jump on to the nerdy stuff, I guess, and show you what I'm actually doing to this pedal. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing to the pedals. This is a schematic of the Marshall BB2. We're focusing mainly on the drive circuit here. So first thing I'm going to be doing is changing out this LED. It's a red LED that has about 2 volts forward voltage, so we're going to be changing that out for a pair of 1N4148s, and what that's going to do is drop that forward voltage to about 1.4 to 1.7. Now these are rated to be 1 volts forward voltage, but with different tolerances and that, you can end up with them being higher or lower. So the plan is just to create asymmetrical clipping by getting rid of this red LED and changing it for a pair of silicon diodes. So this might change the sound, it might not, we may notice it, or it could sound the same as it did before. There's only one way to really find out, and at the end of the day, this is a bit of an experiment, first time modding a pedal for me. So the other thing we're going to be doing is changing these 2 resistors here. So this one, R10, is originally 100k, changing that for 47k. What that's going to do is change the amount of gain that we're getting out of this pedal, along with R13, 22k down to a 10k. So what we're doing here is halving the resistances here, and overall what that should do, as I said, is change the actual gain profile and lower it a little bit. So we're expecting to have a little bit lower gain out of this. Whether or not that will actually happen, not entirely sure. It might be something that theoretically you'll be able to perceive, but audibly you won't be able to. And then we're also going to change out the 4558 op amp. So the original used a chip called the TLO72C chip. We're going to be using the TLO72CP. It's just basically a more modern, more up-to-date version. They tend to add on extra letters or numbers onto the end of these devices, but it's usually just ever so slight changes, or they've slightly changed the layout of the chip itself. So that's the one we're going to be using. I'm going to be putting a socket in there so that it can be changed back in the future, or maybe even swapped out for another chip. Last but not least, we're going to be getting rid of this C15 capacitor. From what I can understand, this is basically a treble bleed kind of thing, so it maintains the high. But what we want to do with that volume is just change the profile of it a little bit, so it does have an effect on the actual tone of the pedal, and just basically makes it a bit more of an interactive pedal. And this also, with the chip, pushes it back towards the original Blues Breaker circuit, and that's basically what I'm going to be doing. So time to get out the soldering iron. I'll do a time lapse here, me taking the pedal apart and actually changing these components out, and then we'll jump over and see what the pedal actually sounds like. Hope that hasn't been too nerdy for you guys, but that is my plan, and that's what we're going to go with. So, it's been a little while since I actually did the pedal modifications. It's been about 2 weeks. I've been a bit busy doing other stuff, so haven't had the time to sit down and actually record this. And what you will have noticed is I didn't actually put any of the soldering in there. I was recording, but I had a bit of a tough time getting the solder off of some of the components, and as a result I had to resort to some questionable tactics of getting them off the board, which kind of included levering them a bit with pliers. And because I don't want people damaging their pedals, I'm not going to show that because I don't want people thinking that's the way it's done. Basically the solder, I don't know if it's an age related thing, it just wouldn't come off. I tried solder wick, I tried a solder sucker, none of it made the stuff budge, so I had to kind of lever the components off, and that's why it's not in here. But it's all done. One thing I did notice was that my pedal had the TLO72 chip already installed in it. From factory, it wasn't an aftermarket modification, so I don't know if the BB2 pedal has the two different chips from factory, whether there was a date that they changed over, but that's what I found in mine, so I didn't end up changing the chip. I did the capacitor removal, changed the LED for 2 diodes in order to make it a asymmetrical, albeit not by much, an asymmetrical clip-in circuit, and change those resistors to play about with the gain values. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to play the riff I played with the pedal unmodified, so we can just do a bit back-to-back comparison. Some of the licks may be different, but I'll do my best. So everything at 12 o'clock. Quick caveat, I will say the amp is on exactly the same settings. I haven't touched it since I recorded the last part of the video. Same guitar, same settings within the 2 notes, so it shouldn't be any different from a bass tone, but let's click it on and see. You will notice there'll be a bit of a volume drop, especially compared to last time. That's what it sounds like. Bit of back to back. Now what I'm going to do is just bump it up to unity gain. As I said, the volume has dropped quite a bit. Through me messing about with those resistors. It's a twin gain stage pedal this, so changing any of those does mess with your volume output, so we are just going to rectify that. I found it to be about 3/4, so maybe a little bit more. And you notice at 12 o'clock that actually sounds pretty decent. I mean, it didn't sound terrible before, but I feel like I've taken some of the fizz out of it. Whether it's due to me removing that capacitor, whether it's due to the changes with the diode, so it's clipping differently, I do not know. But I quite like the sound of this now. So what I'm going to do is take you from a fairly low gain. So we'll go about 1/4. I don't want to go ridiculously low gain because then you won't really notice much. It's almost as if it's not doing anything. So if I play the obligatory A chord. So that's with gain all the way up. It's quite a bit, but it's not a ridiculous amount. You're not in distortion pedal territory. And also you'll notice that it retained the tone quite well. It didn't get really fizzy as soon as you started to put a lot more gain into it. And that's something that I like. I'm not sure what part of the modification did that, but either way, I quite like it. And what I found is if you just bump the tone up a little bit, you get a bit more clarity. So we'll just take the gain down just a little bit more. Now, I'm liking the G chord at the moment, don't know why, but if you notice that it just kind of brings everything out of it. I don't know whether that's the asymmetrical clipping. People who are more into the different sounds of pedals might be able to advise on that. But all I know is that that's just the way it is now. What I'm going to do is just a quick sweep of the tone control. What you might have noticed is that that's quite a usable tone sweep. So with it all the way up, so it's very usable. That's with the tone quite high. So I'm going to back that down again. I'm just going to play now, enjoy this pedal a little bit. And personally what I think is I've made this pedal a little bit more amp-like. Feel free to completely debate that in the comments if you think I've ruined it, made it sound better. But overall I'm quite happy with what I've done, so I'm just going to enjoy this. Not even sure what key I was playing in there, but yeah. So yeah, that's what my modifications have done to this pedal. So it may have been a bit of a long-winded video, but I think I got my point across quite clearly. Modifying a pedal isn't exactly a bad idea. I'm not saying you should go and take your favourite pedal, open it up, start messing about with the circuits or the electronics. But if you've got that pedal laying on the shelf and you want to know a little bit more about how pedals work, what makes them tick and what you can do to change the sound of them, then you know, opening it up and changing a few components isn't really that difficult. I mean, I know I say that with a background in electronics, so take that with a pinch of salt. It might be a bit difficult for somebody who's never opened that stuff up before. If you don't know what you're doing, don't touch your pedals. But if you've got a little bit of experience, maybe building them, maybe playing about with electronics yourself, then you know, it's not a bad way to spend an afternoon. It's made that pedal better in my opinion. It serves a purpose a bit better than it did before. As I said, it's gathering dust. I had no use for it. It didn't really sound how I wanted it to sound. So I took the punt, I had a look online, got some suggestions from other people. There's plenty of forums out there where people have suggested modifications, not only for this pedal, but loads out there. There are books you can buy, like ones by Brian Wampler, that basically go through all the details and tell you everything you'd need to know when starting to open this stuff up and play about with it. And I hope it's come across that I was enjoying playing that pedal probably a lot more the second time round once I'd modified it than I was before. And yeah, I'm more than happy with it. I'm actually putting a second pedal board together for playing funk stuff, and I just need one gain pedal. I don't need the stacked gains that I use for my kind of big rock setup. So in order to get those tones, I think it's going to be that blues breaker now. So that is going to provide all the gain I need. It's going to give me that tone that I'll be looking for solos, and yeah, it's become almost a perfect pedal for that, and I'm looking forward to using it and chucking it through the Vox. So thanks for watching. Hope it hasn't been too long-winded and you haven't lost all of your attention throughout this video, but if you've enjoyed it, please be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think of the pedal. Let me know what you think of just basically my video style and whether you like this style of video. I've got other pedals that I could probably open up and play about with. I can go into more detail if I don't have too many issues with the actual process of removing components, but let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers for watching.